As a kid, I was an avid collector of sports cards, primarily football. Born in '85, the early '90s were my playground as a collector. To this day, I still remember going to the flea markets, hoping to find a pack of 1991 Score or Pro Set for about 50 cents a pack. Opening a pack, the only thing I really cared about was the hope that I could pull a New York Giants player, my childhood team. Every card felt special, every card told a story, notably through the statistics that they highlighted on the back. Afterwards, they would go into a page, a box, or maybe onto the floor if I was too lazy to spend 5 minutes focusing on organization. Regardless, each card carried a value, and not a monetary one. As I grew older, my purpose and desire to collect evolved as the hobby itself did as well. Eventually, I reached the point of the hobby where autographs, memorabilia, and graded cards dominated the landscape. The days of $1 to $3 packs were all but extinct, and in their place were $5 to $10 packs, and sets that were so rare they seemed like a mythical beast. At this point, I was getting older, no longer buying packs with allowance money, but instead hard earned going to work money, and it became harder and harder for me to justify participating in a hobby that was a shell of its former self. Not to mention the sad reality that I myself had transitioned into a collector that cared more about the rarity and monetary value than I did collecting a specific player or finding joy in a common card. If it didn't have a potential to carry me into retirement, then I likely didn't care about it. Eventually, I tapped out of the hobby. Fast forward in time a bit more, and I'm now a dad to a son and a daughter, and believe it or not, a lady that wanted to marry me. My joy of collecting has been reignited thanks in large part to the world of Pokemon, TCG in general, and my son's increasing level of love of sports. I'm back in the game and can confidently say I feel like it's for the right reasons. Yes, I enjoy rare and valuable cards, but I also adore finding a hidden gem for a couple of bucks that simply speaks to me. While I am no longer a New York Giants diehard fan, I still love chasing players from my childhood. Now, though, the primary focus of my collecting centers around my local teams, the Kansas City Royals and the Chiefs. Salvador Perez is my number one guy, and he's going to wind up in Cooperstown. Just had to put that out there. The only real issue I'm facing right now as a collector is trying to find something that really drives me. I want a challenge. I want a goal to work towards. I will always find singles that catch my interest, but it's fun to chase something. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, and then it hit me. Collecting and organizing sets was always a fun challenge to work towards as a kid, pretty much always resulting in a seemingly endless amount of 50% complete box sets. The past still calls for me. There's just something special about collecting cards during a time period when there weren't 30 different sets and 15 different parallel versions of each card. I also love the set in stone status that collecting older cards can bring. You get true legends of the game, not flavor of the month best in the game status that so many players today get. You get true Hall of Fame players. There is no debate. I balanced all these things along with my love of my local teams and landed on a challenge that I am truly excited about. George Brett is the stud of studs for the Royals. He is true Kansas City royalty, so why not start with his rookie card, a card I certainly never possessed as a kid? But not just that, let's collect the entire set, all 660 cards of 1975 Topps Baseball. I'm going hunting for some true legends of the game that I know I didn't appreciate enough as a kid. It's going to take time, and I'm going to set limits. This is a challenge after all. A couple of stipulations I'm setting for myself. First, no eBay unless it is for bulk commons, and I'm really hoping to wait as long as possible to dip into that territory regardless. This set has over 80 Hall of Fame cards in it. None of them will be purchased on eBay. Initially, my goal was to complete the set for around 500 or less, but after a little more research, I'm not sure how realistic that is. While I'm not looking for pristine cards, I do want the cards to be in pretty good shape. So maybe it's a bit more hopeful to shoot for 750. With sets on eBay ranging from around 350 to 1000 or more, it will be interesting to see how expensive this becomes. No matter though, this is about the journey. This is about learning more about the history of a sport I didn't appreciate enough as a kid. This is about fun. I'm excited but also a bit anxious to get started. As a kid and adult, a vast majority of my cards came from packs. As time passed, eBay became my friend. I have very little real experience in card shops or shows. In fact, to this day, I've only been to a total of one show. It was last year and in the most tightly packed room I could possibly imagine. Suffice to say that for my introverted self, it was an experience. However, I want to push myself to be part of a community that enjoys the back and forth of the sale and conversations and education that can occur through face to face interactions. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to go onto eBay and just find what you want and buy it. But at that point, it does feel as if it's just all business. And to me, this hobby is about more than that, particularly when dealing with cards that came before the era of grading, parallels, and, God forbid, breakers. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how long it takes. I'm really curious to see how this all comes together. 660 cards is a very large set. And while there are some cards that are going to cost me a lot more money than I typically pay, a majority of them are truly commons that I'm hoping I can get some good deals on. My first step in getting started was generating a spreadsheet to not only track the cards I needed to snag, but also determine the ones that I wanted to be more diligent in ensuring that I had a hand selected and really didn't rely on eBay to get a hold of. To do this, I identified first the cards that had Hall of Fame players on them. That alone consisted of over 80 cards. I want to get the cards firsthand because, again, this is about collection and more than just completion. It's about appreciating the history and the stories that came from it. Baseball is a sport that is built upon the foundation of history, so I want to make sure I recognize it. Beyond that, I skimmed through some of the set and was blown away by how many names were not highlighted during my Hall of Fame identification. Guys like Vida Blue, Lou Piniella, Bucky Dent, and obviously Pete Rose. Players that, aside from the well documented saga of Pete Rose, I was surprised to see weren't in the Hall of Fame because their names stand out to even the most historically casual fan like myself. This just makes me more excited to begin. There is so much I'm going to learn. Throw in a few more royals and that I want to get firsthand, and there are probably close to 100 cards that I'm hoping to personally pick up with face to face contact. Again, eBay is the last resort regardless, but no matter what, these 100 cards are definitely being selected by me personally. If I had to guess, this will likely take a journey that goes for over 2 or more years. I'm not a rich man, and I don't intend to put unnecessary amounts of money into this search for the sake of getting it done quickly. So this will, without question, take some time, and that's okay with me. Now it's time to get started. Have a great day, everyone.